Welcome, friends. It's Kenisha here again on another Extraordinary Zone. I know I've done two so close together. I think before was like a year ago, but now it's like within a month or 2 months, so we're getting better. I'm super excited to introduce today's guests. They are so awesome. I'm going to actually let them introduce themselves, and they've got a great story with everything that's been going on. I know a lot of people have been kind of stir crazy and maybe even a little bit discouraged because their plans have had to change. So their example is such a neat story and testimony of how you can take very unforeseen circumstances and turn it into something amazing. So I'm gonna lead over here and let you guys introduce yourselves and just jump right in.
Yeah, you first. Okay. My name is Lydia Hoskins. I'm a barista here at Vintage Paris. I'm friends with Lindsay and Kendra, and Maddie and Quinn are also part of our group, but they're not able to be here today. I don't really know what else to talk about, I guess.
Well, actually, she made a good point. We're actually at an awesome coffee shop in Hollister, Missouri, outside of Branson. These ladies, a lot of them work here, and this place is probably one of the best coffee shops I've ever been at. And so you might be seeing people walk through here, but that's okay. And coffee sounds, and it's a lot of life here, which is amazing because for a while, a lot of this place has been sort of shut down. Although this place still was serving coffee the whole time, which was awesome. So a lot of us hung out in our cars and talked to each other, which was great. But so I would love to hear more about you guys are doing. What's it called? Your business's name?
Sip and Shop.
Sip and Shop. So tell us a little bit about Sip and Shop.
Yeah. Well. Maybe we can have them introduce themselves first.
Yes, yes,
I don't know.
Please, yes. Yeah. Okay, everybody introduce yourselves.
You want to go, Lindsay?
Lindsay, yeah, you can go.
Yeah, sure. I'm Lindsay Stuke. Just had a name change because I just got married a few weeks ago. I used to be a barista at Vintage Paris. I recently moved to Denver, Colorado. So Sip and Shop's been kind of a fun way to stay connected with my pals at Vintage Paris, which truly is the best coffee in Missouri. So I miss it a lot there. But yeah, I'm grateful to still be a part of the community through Sip and Shop. So.
And I'm Kendra Sorrell, and I am also barista. I'm assistant manager here at Vintage, and I love our Vintage Girls group. We have a lot of fun together. Like Lindsay said, she just moved, and then Maddie, one of the other girls that's not here today, is also getting ready to get married and move away. So Sip and Shop is a cool avenue for us all to stay together and also kind of have a business and community for our own selves as well as the customers that we have, people that buy product and things. So yeah, I love this community. It's so fun being able to make coffee for people, and yeah, it's kind of I think Sip and Shop kind of came out of we called our Vintage Girls is our friendship group. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, so Vintage Girls, and then how did Sip and Shop? Is there a theme song?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna need to hear this.
We would sing it a
lot. Let's do it.
We have to do it right now, Lindsay.
Yes, I'm gonna be your backup dancer.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do you guys remember?
I think it's not right without the other.
I don't know
That's
if it'll
true.
work with the audio.
Yeah.
It's just something
Okay.
you have to experience.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it next time.
VIP,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you all about it later.
Yeah.
So how did Sip and Shop become a thing?
Well, I don't know who first had the idea for it.
Yeah, I can give a little bit of an insight on that. Me and Maddie had been talking about doing like a pop-up shop originally a long while back because we just had been wanting to sell some clothes, and so we wanted to do that, and we had planned to do that, and then kind of was on the back burner but was still in our mind. And then when we really started to pursue it is when COVID happened, and so we had Maddie had already designed some of the logos for it, and we had already gathered our clothes for it, but then we weren't able to actually physically do the shop. So we were at that point just kind of we have the things, what do we do with it? So that's kind of where it started.
Because we had started out just promoting it as a one-time event, almost like a garage sale just out in the courtyard. And then that's when COVID happened, and then we weren't able to, and then we were like, well, what if we just transitioned it to online? And from there it really just kind of rolled. We just started brainstorming and just kind of went for it, and it really just took off. I don't know how many, it's been 3 weeks now, I think, and I think our page has 300 followers, I think, roughly, maybe something like that. And So it's been cool because it was like for the first week of it, I don't even think we posted anything, and so it was just kind of like telling people like what we were gonna do and how we were gonna do it, kind of. And it's been cool because even with that, the people that have supported us have been really just like gracious and flexible with us, kind of trial and error and like just rolling with it and winging it. And because none of us are business majors or anything, like we're not like, we don't have business backgrounds, we're just a bunch of girls that like love Jesus and love each other, and here we are.
Well, those are the best stories. So one of the things we call, this is kind of the segment, is called the Extraordinary Zone. So we talk about people who do extraordinary things, and oftentimes the best stories aren't from people with business degrees, and you guys are actually doing it. So it's not like you have all of the knowledge, but you actually have the knowledge and you're able to kind of put into action. I know I heard last time we were talking about it, someone had mentioned how quickly, like when you guys went online, and how y'all did like a grand, like a midnight launch or something.
I don't know, maybe Lindsay, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so me and, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Me and Maddie are on the like virtual side of it, so we're both kind of the ones just creating graphics, communicating with people via Instagram, posting the posts, and that side of it. So we were trying to figure out how we should, because our goal with it, like, I don't think ever initially was just like sell clothes, make money. Like when we first thought of it, we actually, I forgot to mention this earlier, but we wanted to do like a clothing swap with the like call it C of O, the college nearby, like kind of have that community involved in it and get like just kind of connect the girls that are our age in this community. So we were trying to figure out a way that we could do it that it wasn't just like buy our clothes. Like we want it to very much be like community oriented with people. Like here in Denver, we would love for it to like take off a little bit here when Maddie moves to Washington there as well. And like supporting local coffee shops. Obviously right now it's bringing people to Vintage, and so that's awesome. Long term, we just love for it to be like a community focused, same vision that we have at Vintage Paris, but community focused. And you know, we want to be able to sell those clothes and have it be sustainable and like upcycled fashion, but like not necessarily to make money off of it or profit. Just, you know, it's a fun way to connect people. And I don't know if I answered the question.
You did. No, that's amazing. I mean, such a community aspect. I mean, especially with the unexpected turn of all the stuff that happened with COVID. And so I know, like, with having stuff to look forward to, and not only are you shopping, you actually know and you're supporting a local business, and you're supporting a new local business of people that you know. What was that like, kind of getting that off the ground and getting the feedback from your community?
I think the coolest thing was last weekend, we had a little pop-up shop at the front, and that was kind of a trial and error thing. And it was definitely stressful at some parts, but it was also cool because we got to see some C of O students come back. College of the Ozarks, like college Lindsay was mentioning, is just right down the road. So we didn't get those students at first, you know, when we first were thinking and brainstorming the idea, we would do the whole swap, but we were able to still have that community online. And then now that we're starting to do pop-up shops, we're planning to do another one this upcoming weekend. We're excited to see, we'll probably have more students coming because people are moving out of the college right now. So we're excited to see that. And I think it's also neat because we give out 20% off, right? Little coupons when people buy every time they purchase. So then they're able to get 20% off of their coffee, and so it's bringing business into Vintage Paris, and it's just kind of like a really cool way to keep that community rolling as well.
That is so amazing. We are at a coffee shop.
Yes. That's one of the other aspects of like the community aspect with it, is that the business model itself is like we're using kind of the platform of Vintage and their atmosphere of community that they've already established.
And they are also alums from the College of the Ozarks as well, right?
Right, exactly. And so with them, like they're helping us like bring people in by being the coffee shop and partnering with us to give people discounts, but we're also bringing people to the coffee shop. And even with a 20% off coupon, they're still making margin.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like it's a win-win for both of us.
So it's money that they would spend that they might not normally, because they might have been here,
Right,
but
right,
they're coming for the
right.
shop, and they're like, we're already here, so now we're spending money here that we might have spent somewhere else. So
Right.
we're supporting local.
Right.
And right now, with the businesses have lost so much business and even community during this kind of gap that everybody's kind of had to face. How needed is it that you guys are doing very similar to kind of almost a grand opening thing, you know, for your thing, and it's also like, I mean, making this place like buzz. So I know we were here for the pop-up, didn't even know the pop-up was going on. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Shopping?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God definitely has his hand on this place,
Yes.
because the owners have given it to him, and they say that over and over again. Like, through every valley, at every hill, like, they see his hand. And I think a lot of it is because they give the first of what they make to him, and it's a not-for-profit. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
giving
what I
back to
heard,
the community. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's amazing.
That was Maddie.
Yeah, that was
She's
Maddie.
awesome. She's right
the wrong way.
She's making coffee, so.
That's all, like, we were at a coffee shop. It is awesome. No, that is so cool. And I remember actually when we came here, I mean, one of the first things I could tell was like God is here, and it is so, he's blessing this place, especially whenever like, are we open, are we closed?
Right.
'Cause a lot of places were just closing. They're like, we don't even want to deal with it. And I mean, and how amazing this place stayed open throughout the entire time, just really working with the community to make sure they stayed within everything, and then allowed everything to work out well.
Yeah.
So I know it was a lot of blessings to people who had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
You know, like psych and
that was a
everything.
big thing, yeah.
'Cause we were always here and meeting new people who are like, we don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
So we're just drinking coffee in our car and working.
Yeah.
But glad to be somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is a blessing. So how neat is it that you guys do your pop-up shops here? It's bringing people in because everybody's kind of been hibernating, and so easier to come out of hibernating.
Right.
So what other neat kind of surprises have you guys found coming out of this experience?
I think we probably all are. I know me and Kendra talked about this earlier on the phone, but it's been a very growing experience, as in, like Lydia said, like none of us know how to do this. Like me and Maddie both have worked with creating graphics and stuff before, but just like it's a whole nother ball game to do the like
Run a business out of it.
yeah,
Like,
technical side of that. And then from my perspective, like being over here in Denver, like trying to communicate and like be, you know, just that, it's very like good. Like I feel like for us, I mean, this might be like a selfish focus of just how we've benefited from it, but like as a whole, I think us 5 girls have like grown a lot, like in just through like those challenges, and then also like in our relationships with each other. Like I think we've like had to like be, you know, like work through like, okay, how do we do this, and like how is this gonna work out? And so like that's a cool side of it, of just like our personal growth, but then also like this is like a selfish perspective, but it's been so sweet for me to be newly married in a new city where I don't know anybody yet, and I'm not able to go out and meet people yet, and still have community and like fellowship with people consistently. And like not that we wouldn't do that if we didn't have Sip and Shop, but it definitely adds to the level of like daily communication. And so selfishly, that's been like a huge blessing out of this, which wouldn't have happened otherwise. So that's like my experience with it. But it's also been cool. I've this is a little bit backtracking, but like it's community wise like been super cool to see like Branson area, like what they said with the pop-up shop, and just how many you know, connections we've made with that. But then also we've been getting a lot this last week, a lot of orders and like following that we don't know, like it's out, it's not necessarily like connected. And so that's cool, just like the way that like in a time where there's lack of connection, there's been like more connection. So
It's amazing. That's when you know it's successful, that you're getting outside of the group that you know into
Right.
new groups of people.
Right.
it's been really cool because I would say probably a large % of the people that have been making orders have been people we don't personally know.
Wow.
Like probably, I would say at least half, probably.
Because
Wow.
between the 5 of us, we
Yeah.
have enough people
Yeah.
that like not everybody knows out of the 5 of us.
Right.
So the word's been spreading.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think it's cool to see like what Lindsay said, like how we were coworkers and now that she's left, like we're still coworkers.
You're
We're
such
still
a
Sip
sip
and Shop.
and
So it's pretty cool.
Which I don't know if we said this or not, but I think maybe Lindsay mentioned it, but like how Maddie and Riley are going to be moving to Washington
Yes.
soon,
Mhm.
and she's going to try to do the same thing there, and so we're hoping to still continue that and see that expand more in Denver and expand more in Washington. And right now, since it's still so new, like we each kind of have our own roles, but we're working on trying to like work out the kinks so that we can basically teach each other our individual roles so that they can be like independent and sustaining like on their own, like so that once Lindsay gets to a point where she's shipping out her own orders and packaging them and everything, like she's going to be having to do all of that on her own in Denver, and then Maddie's going to have to be doing that in Washington too, and so
we're finding new people there and training them how to do
Yeah.
those roles and kind of creating almost franchises
Yeah,
or
sort
something
of,
in
yeah.
other
Little
areas.
baby.
Some version of that. That's brilliant. I mean, it's so interesting just how naturally business savvy all
Yeah.
of you ladies are. Because I'm like, wow, this is like, I'm hearing all these things. I'm like, they know what they're doing. It's all very, because God's in control. Everything just works out.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So for people that are watching, I feel like, I mean, I'm one of those people who loves like new business, and I love when people start businesses, especially stuff like stories like this are so encouraging. And like, I'm wondering, like, how would you encourage, or what would you say? Because, you know, especially with the challenges, because everybody can look at like, yeah, this would be great, but then they'll let the blocks and the barriers stop them, or think, well, we can't really do this. And I've heard kind of various, you know, you guys telling the story in different ways, and how you were running into different things, and how it's been a lot of work, but you guys overcame it. So if each of you would love to share, like, what are some ways, like, what are some things that you kind of came up, and how did you guys overcome those things?
So probably the biggest thing for me specifically, so my kind of role has been over packaging and shipping the orders. So I basically, once orders are in and they're ready to be sent out, like I'm in charge of kind of packaging them and making sure they're out the door to the correct place. Like I'm the one that like says the okay on getting it out. And something that's been difficult with that is learning how to price things so that we're able to still like make it affordable for people, but also make sure that we're not losing money on our orders. And that's been really hard because shipping stuff with mail is just kind of complicated. So it's been a lot of me having to go down a couple blocks and just talk to the people at the post office and be like, what do I do? And then like having to correspond with like Lindsay and really, I mean, Lindsay and Maddie, since they're the one doing the orders, and having to be like, okay, this is what it's going to cost this person to ship. And so again, just like learning to communicate well, and make sure that make sure that we are maintaining a team aspect, because we are a team in this, which again, like we were coworkers here, so we had a bit of that, but I would say this is definitely even more close-knit.
Taking it to a new level.
Yeah, so this breakdown in communication means that when we're not pricing it right, we can't go and change the price because now we've already told the person the price.
Right.
And so finding that way to where you're getting information and they're knowing to wait and they're getting it. Now that's a good point, and that's really important in any organization, period, to have a good build of communication.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would definitely agree with Lydia. Like communication, as in every business, is just so important. And like when I came into working at Vintage Paris, I realized that in other various jobs, and so I think that's been something that we're still continuing to work on. Like I think I was talking to Lindsay earlier, like we have a message board on Facebook, because that's a really good way to communicate. So we update, and I think everybody's been really good about that.
Good.
Like
Pretty consistent.
Yeah, really consistent. But I think we could even have more. Like we haven't really had many meetings, so everything is very like kind of from one person to the next, and so we need to like implement new meetings, you know, and it's hard because we all have jobs outside of this, so it's kind of a side thing for all of us, and so when it starts amping up, you know, we have a lot of orders coming in, it kind of seems overwhelming, so it's just kind of figuring out like roles that work well, and also that roles that people, like I know Lindsay and Maddie are both amazing at graphic design, Lydia's amazing at art, and we all have like our different strengths, and just kind of figuring out what works like good with us, that we feel like we're being purposeful. I think that's super important in any business, to have, you know, you feel like you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And sometimes, you know, when you're shipping stuff, you're like, oh, I'm at the post office for the third time today, like it's just frustrating. But you know, those are like the things in the middle of it where you see the bigger picture come, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like
And off of that too, just kind of what you were just saying, like Lydia might not necessarily be like the most passionate about mailing something, but she's like put her own spin on it and like made the pack, like wraps it up with twine and puts
I
it
have
in notes.
seen that packaging.
It's
It's awesome.
It was a team effort.
It was some brainstorming and
seeing what works best, and
we came
out with a product we really
So,
like.
anyway,
Go ahead.
But yeah, just like how, I mean, burnout is a real thing in any business
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
anything if you're doing something you don't love. And so like finding ways to love what you're doing, kind of what you said of like, what advice would you give to people if they're like thinking of, oh, they want to like start a business or write a book or whatever it may be in this time,
Yeah.
especially like, I say just do it. Cause like,
Exactly.
Right? That is great advice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just do it. It'll work itself out.
we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I call one of the 4 girls every day, like, wait, so how do we do this? And like, but we figure it out like as
Yeah.
we go.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
even in our like confusion and like some of that, like figuring it out, like it's still growing and building and like
Yeah.
happening in its own pace and time. So
Yeah.
That sounds
And
exciting.
Yeah, along with that, I think the other really key aspect that is allowing all of this to work and helping us to work with one another is the fact that it's our faith that's brought us together. Like, it's our faith that got us jobs here, and it's our faith that has like brought us close to one another and allowed this to kind of happen. And a lot of what we do operates on like an integrity and like your own character and the care for like one another. And so I think if we were people that didn't choose to
Have those same
see,
values.
and like to like love one another the way that Christ does, then I could see this like not working, because even just the challenges in itself, it would be easy to be like, you know what, I don't care about this enough to do it. But like we're all like committed to it and like wanting to see it grow and see what can happen with it. And so I think that's a big part of just the resilience of being able to work through things with one another and be patient and gracious with one another. And sometimes it means like you might have an opinion, but taking a step back and be like, okay, I'm gonna like be humble in this and like consider what other people have to say. And I think that's been a big thing too, just with like brainstorming new things and what we want to see happen. And just again, like communication has been so vital in this.
That's a
and
really good point.
Yeah.
'Cause there's 5 of you guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's 5 opinions and
Yeah.
thoughts and giftings.
5 strong-willed women.
Yeah.
And we're all very, very independent and very different, which part of that's cool for the Sibling Shop. We're all very different, like stylistically,
Yeah.
and have our own kind of thing we bring to the table and that. So it's such
Like, I love the rack. It's awesome. It is so eclectic. I was like, yes, Bohemian.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah.
Off what Lydia said too a little bit, like our faith kind of like for the like vision behind it, it's not just kind of where it is of just not like making an income of some sort is super great, like especially in this time, just to have that little
Right.
Yeah.
margin, but like that's not the reasoning behind
No.
it. And I think like as believers, it's when you make a connection with someone, you're not just making a connection like that, like
It's
this
deeper.
is an opportunity to like love on somebody, to encourage them, even if it's with
Yeah.
a little note.
Yeah.
You
And
guys are
that's part
speaking
of-
my language.
Even like everything down to like the notes that we put in the packages,
I saw
like
some.
that is like that. So the other thing that was cool with it being in the middle of quarantine was we knew people weren't being as social, people weren't interacting in the same way, and so we're like, what's a way that we can still show our community, like our regulars here, but also the broader community, that like we love and care about them, and we do
You're
want to
not
build that
alone. We
community
see
and
you.
relationship with
Yeah.
them. And and so even just like the notes, like they're all handwritten, and like we just want to make sure that we're making like that personal connection with people, that they're not just a dollar sign, but it's more than
You're a
that.
person.
And we're definitely not making enough money for it to be like about the money.
Especially at this point, we're like,
Right. Well, there's
And
just so
so,
much
like-
into it. When God is involved in the details, and this is what I love about it. Like it's work, but it's not like super hard. You know what I mean? Like it's hard work,
Right,
but it's like it's, you know what I'm talking about? Like when God's behind it,
like
you
it's
have to work.
organic, it's natural.
Yes, but
yeah.
everything kind of happens,
Yeah.
and He does all of the heavy lifting. And
Definitely.
yes, you know, it takes like
Yeah.
some really good work and some good sweat
Right,
right into
right.
it, like good sweat equity. And it's so rewarding because, like, I say that actually with even all the businesses that I've done, I'm like, you know, making money is kind of a byproduct. I'm like, if that happens, that's great. But, like, I love to serve. And I hear you guys are talking about just loving to serve each other and loving to serve the community. And I love that you want to bring it to other coffee shops, serving local businesses, other places. A lot of businesses are very, especially if they're not faith-based or they are faith-based, maybe they're struggling. Because I've heard a lot of people who are faith-based businesses, and you hear them saying, well, I just don't know what's going to happen. And you see that struggle, and you're like, well, you know, God's got it all in his hands. And so I think it's really encouraging when you see people who are like, yeah, we're quarantined. Yeah, this business is not really working out well, but we're still trekking through. We're going to start a whole other business, and we're going to try to do this. And we're not, you know, God's going to handle all the big stuff. We're just going to take one step at a time, and just everything. He does all of that stuff, and you're like, look at all the different lives. And only he could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and y'all just do y'all's part, you know, as you can. So that's amazing.
Yeah. It's been pretty wild last couple of weeks, but it's been really cool.
And so fast, like exponential. I see when God's in the details, like the girl just like,
Yeah.
when did all this happen?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and other thing I want y'all to talk about is, I forgot who mentioned it when we were talking about this last week, but that someone had mentioned that you guys are kind of like local celebrities, you know, and so they're really watching what you're doing and feeling encouraged. Oh, awesome. Influencers. We're sitting with influencers.
It's funny. I think Quinn was talking about that. I think a friend had mentioned that to her, but what's funny about that is like it does not feel that way at all. Like,
It's usually how it goes. You're like, who?
What?
Yeah, it just feels like we're just doing exactly what we talked about. We're like, hey, let's get together and do this, and just rolling with it. And again, it's cool to see how it's grown naturally. Like, it hasn't been us like having to really, like, we've put work into it and we've committed to it and invested time and like money, but like it hasn't been something we've had to force to make it
Exactly.
work. It's happening just by a little bit of commitment.
Exactly. And
that's
that is
what's cool,
that's what
I
I was
think.
talking about. 'Cause I know people who have started businesses and they think that it's about followers and influence and the money. That's what usually they will teach if they watch a business course.
Yeah.
And so, but you'll see them struggling. And so they're spending more time trying to get followers, and maybe they do, but there's no connection there.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are connected, even if you haven't met each one of them, like because of the notes that you send, because of the I've seen you guys do lives and stuff on there and everything. Like they feel like they know you. They feel like, because your heart's in it, right? Like the spirit behind what you do will always come through, whether you say it or not. And so if it's genuine, you will feel that. The fruit of that, you will see it. If it's not genuine, you will see the fruit of that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you guys are experiencing, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think the other aspect to that is that we really strive to try to do that in our personal lives too, to live genuinely and authentically. All five of us, like that's something we all value
Consistency.
really highly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely contributed to why our friendships are so strong.
And why this is so successful, and why they trust you here, and why you'll be able to build the bridges in other places.
Yeah.
God wants you to do it, and so He's going to definitely open those doors. That's
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, I mean, if y'all have anything else you want to share, then definitely put it out there. But I think that's like, I'm just mind blown, and let them know like where they can find your shop.
Yeah.
So, so I guess, I mean, I wouldn't call it like headquartered, but we sort of are, like our base would be here right now, and since it's still so new. And with Maddie moving to Washington, like Lindsay said, she's going to try to partner with a local coffee shop in Denver, and then Maddie's going to try to do that in Washington too. I'm not sure exactly where in Washington, but currently you can come find us in person at Vintage Paris Coffee Shop in Hollister, Missouri.
This is awesome.
260 Birdcage Walk.
Yep.
No, Birdcage Walk. Yeah, Birdcage Walk Drive or something.
I think it's drive. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Anyways.
And you can drink wine here and have coffee here.
And tea.
Yeah,
and
tea,
soda.
and water and
beer
soda, and you can sit out on the patio, and they will not send you out.
Yep.
You can be in public and around people.
Yep.
It's so great.
And then Instagram is where you can find us
Yeah.
online.
Yep. Sip and Shop Co. on Instagram. And I think we might have a Facebook page coming soon. Maybe, or at least some events on Facebook. What?
Sorry,
I said, I think we might have a Facebook page coming soon that's maybe like paired with it so that we can reach more people.
for now, all of our, for now, all of our selling, if it's not a pop-up shop though, is on the Instagram. And it's Sip and Shop Co, but the in between Sip and Shop is just the letter N.
Yeah. SIP, the letter N, Shop Co.
Awesome. So, and we'll actually also kind of have a link or something when we post the video. So,
Perfect.
so they'll have that on there. Yeah. So you know where to find these lovely ladies if you are in the Branson area. I know you guys have, so we'll be sending that over there. And for those of you, I know people in Texas and all over, when you guys come to the Branson area, check it out. If you are out of town, they ship. So definitely go on there to do your orders. Their stuff is super cute, like super, super cute. So I highly recommend checking your stuff out. Actually, I probably will get some shots of your rack out there to put on there as well, so they can kind of see your setup and everything.
Thank you so much, Kenny
Yeah,
Shear,
thank
for
you.
having
It's
us.
been super fun.
I love it. We just wandered in here one day.
Yeah, and just started
And it's
hanging
like-
out, just hit it off. Yeah.
Exactly. I love how God works. So
Yeah.
we were all meant to be here
Yep.
doing this. Well, thank you so much, and
Yeah.
everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And remember, you, and Maddie and Quinn are all extraordinary, made extraordinary. Love you. We will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.